drummingforlife.com. Hey there, it's Vaughn at drummingforlife.com. Aloha. Hope you're doing well. I want to share with you today my practice setup. Over the years, I've tried lots of different ways to set up my drums for practice, to get a real feeling when I practice that will really prepare me for playing live music or recording studio dates, whatever I have. And I finally think I've nailed it. And the thing is, I mean, if you're like me and you've lived your whole life as a drummer, or maybe you're even just starting out and you're trying to figure out how you can play your drums in an apartment or someplace that's close quarters, and you don't want to get the police called on you, or you don't want to you don't want to have like all kinds of a confrontation with your neighbors, this might help. And it's kind of a mishmash, so there's not just one size fits all. And I know there are a lot of products out there that tout that they can do that and that all you need is this, but actually I think you need a combination of things. So I'm going to show you what I do first and give you kind of my recommendations. Let's see, before we get into that, just if you don't mind, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and you know, cross stick, or so if you play brushes, swish that like button, and leave a comment. I'd like to connect with you, and I respond to all of my comments. So let me show you what I do here. This is my overhead angle. Now you can see already, right? I've got some stuff that you've probably seen out there. Maybe you already own some of these things. And let's start with the drums. And what I'm going to show you here is basically, this is a very simple. I have these kind of rubber pads. These happen to be sound off pads. I'm not endorsing any particular company, but this is what I'm using right now. But there are a lot of these out there. And I use these. I have a 14-inch and a 12-inch, and so I just put this on top like this, and that's pretty easy, right? What I do for the snare drum, and this is kind of the ticker. The snare drum is a super important part of your practice, and if it sounds crummy, it just makes you not want to play it. And there's a lot of stuff out there that I've tried. I've tried the mesh heads on this. You know, I can't remember the exact name of it, but there's this different companies make these kind of mesh heads you can put on your snare drum. Bad idea. I mean, it sounds terrible. It just sounds awful. There's no response from the stick. You can't do rolls. I mean, it just sounds terrible. Stay away from that. Putting this on your drum head, on your snare drum, is a bad idea too. It sounds terrible. It sounds just hideous. In fact, I can just play it for you. You can see what it sounds like. Kind of see what I have underneath here too. But I mean, this just sounds, I mean, who wants to play a snare drum that sounds like that? I mean, it just sounds awful. My gosh. No, thank you. So we don't do that. But what I do is, and these just happen to be down here because I use them when I take off the pads when I do my videos. But this is what I use. It's called a quiet tone. It's made by Sabian, and it's old. I've had this thing for, I don't know how long I had it. Long time, I don't know. But here's the back side of it. You can see this is what it looks like on the back side. And it's a great invention. It has these little feet, these little rubber feet that go down on the drum head, and it basically allows you to have a great sound without having to have the volume just make your neighbors crazy. Now, one thing I'll note is that years ago when I was teaching, one of my students knocked it off the snare drum and broke one of the legs off, and I've since lost one of the legs, so I don't know where that is. But what I use is just a little something to elevate it. Just a little case I got at the dollar store, and just put it on there, and it seems to work just fine. So, and I'll just let you hear what it sounds like. So, start with the toms. So, not bad, you know. And what I like about this is that it's just kind of like playing toms, because it's not, you don't have that extra bounce. It's not really bouncy. Those mesh heads, you put them on your toms, and they work okay. They work all right, but they're slippery, number one, and I don't like how my sticks slide around on them when I play. And they don't honestly have, for me, they don't really have the same feel. I don't know why, it just doesn't work for me. But when I put on the rubber heads, I really feel like I'm getting that workout that I need with, you know, when you have your tom-toms, they're obviously, the drum heads are tuned looser than your snare drum. So you're going to have less bounce. And I just think this really prepares you well for playing, you know, singles and doubles, whatever you want to play, all right? Now the snare drum, this is the, you know, pièce de résistance right here. I love this thing. So this just sounds great. It just sounds great. It sounds tight, it sounds clean. You can get rim shots. I mean, they're not the most beautiful rim shot you've ever heard in your life, but you get that feeling of a rim shot because you're actually hitting your stick on a rim with the you know, just with the drum head. I mean, just it's like a real rim shot. So you can practice things that are essential, like the feeling of things that are essential when you're playing live music. You can practice them on your drum set. So that's really, really great. Now let's take a trip down to the bass drum. With a bass drum, I really, what I've done is I don't have anything in the bass drum, actually. I have a little something, in Japan we call it an otefuki, which is like just a hand wipe that's in here, and I taped it onto the drum head. I use this a lot when I do recording sessions and things too. And then I also have this is like just a cymbal, just an insert for a cymbal bag. Okay, let me put it up here actually. It's an insert for a cymbal bag, and an extra one I had, and I just fold it up, put it in here just to touch the drum head, and that just kind of takes out a lot of the overtones and keeps that kind of quiet. All right. Now the thing you might notice that's a little different about my bass drum beater is that it's actually not a traditional beater. Let me take that out for you too, so you can see. This is actually, I got this also at the dollar store or 100 shop if you're in Japan. All this is just a spongy ball, a little soccer ball, kid's soccer ball, and I just kind of drilled a hole in the middle of it and stuck it in here and put the assembly back on it, and there it is. It's all done. Let's put it on this angle. You can see up here. I think this works great. It's soft too. It's not a hard sound. So you really get it's great. I mean, I just thought of it one day. I just had these my kids had these balls around the house. I thought, well, I'll try this. Let's stick it on here. No, it worked. I was like, wow, this is great. So you can just try that. That works really, really good. So I think that's a thing. I really encourage you to get that. The thing I don't like to do is I don't like to put a lot of stuff in my bass drum. I don't put anything in my bass drum because then you can't adjust the sound, and it really doesn't give you, especially if you're studying jazz drumming or you're working on, you're preparing for something in jazz, you want something that's going to have some response to it and some tone. So if you fill it full of pillows and blankets and everything, it just doesn't give you that tone. And I've tried that, but this is really the best way, I think. Now, one other thing I want to show you on the front of the bass drum, we can see it here. Actually, I'm going to put this one on. I'm going to angle this camera down a little bit so you can see. You can see down here, I've got a microphone on the front, but I've also got some more kind of padding on the front that's just kind of muffling the front drum head. All right. So you can also try and do some of that as well if you'd like. That will help, and that'll take out a lot of the sound that you get in resonant head, from the resonant head. So just some ideas what you can do with the bass drum, and I think it works great. So I get a pretty good tone. Of course, it's mic'd up now, but even if you're not hearing it, mic'd up, it really sounds good. It really has a nice fat tone. Okay, so that's what I do for my drums. Works really great for me. Now, let's check out the cymbals. The cymbals, for years, we had to use those. If you're like me, or maybe my generation or older, they have those god-awful pads like these that you put on your cymbals to practice. And let's just be honest, that is terrible. It's like, how are you supposed to feel like you're really playing cymbals? I mean, they're just awful. And I've tried using electric cymbal pads and tried doing, mixing it with an acoustic drum set. Oh, terrible. So for me, because I'm a jazz drummer, and jazz drumming really demands a different feel and a different sound and a different way entirely of practicing than probably other styles of music. Because one of the things is jazz drumming is not full on all the time. I just kind of snicker, I kind of laugh to myself. I turn on, look on Instagram, and it's all these drummers doing the gospel stuff. And it's all like one dynamic level. Now, if that's what you play, then sure, you could probably get away with it on an electronic drum set or anything. But when you're playing jazz, you have a dynamic range that is like, it goes from about here, all the way down to here. How are you going to capture this, right, with a trigger cymbal, a cymbal that has a cymbal pad from electronic drums? It doesn't work. So what I was so happy to see over the years is finally Zildjian and I think Sabian, other companies came out with low volume cymbals, and what a great design. I mean, this is such a game changer. And I have it for the hi-hat and the ride cymbal and the crash, and it just I mean, look at that. You can practice playing in 2 on the hi-hat. I mean, it's just beautiful. I mean, just so great. So thank goodness they came up with that. That's just been a real game changer for me, and it really allows me to prepare for my gigs. I mean, I've recently I prepared for a recording session and live gigs that had kind of complicated charts and things like that. Oh, just so easy. So that's kind of what I do. Now with the bass drum, also I want to mention that you want to have a control of your bass drum. So this is the whole thing about when you practice. It should be a balanced sound, just like as if you're going to play a live gig. So the nice thing about the bass drum actually is that because it's more live than anything else that I'm playing on the kit, it enables me to control my sound and get better at controlling my sound with my bass drum and really blending it with my other instruments on the drum set. One of the things I've found with the drummers learning to play over the years is the bass drum is usually the heaviest and biggest sound out of the drum set, and this will help you learn how to control that sound and make a much better or overall balanced sound on your kit. So if I'm playing see what I'm doing? Because it's like I'm not going full on with the bass drum, and I got my heel down most of the time, right? I mean, if I wanted to, I could bring my heel up and I could play that way too, but still it's a controlled sound. And that's really the goal with our drums. We want to make sure that we're always having a kind of a balanced sound coming out of our kit. Now, underneath, now this is one of the things that often is overlooked, and I'll tell you a funny story. Years ago when I was living in Hawaii, I was living on the 40th floor of an apartment building, and I had an electronic drum set at the time, and I was playing, and I was just playing along, having a good time, just, I don't know what I was playing. Probably something funky or something, I don't know. So I'm here, I'm playing along, and all of a sudden I hear this con on my door. I'm like, what? What's going on? So I walk over, open the door. He's like, man, you're killing me downstairs. All I hear is woo, 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 woo. I thought, oh. I said, well, sorry, man, I didn't know. And I really didn't know. So vibration is a biggie. And when we don't control vibration, we can make our neighbors absolutely nuts. And that's as crazy making as just the sound of playing drums. So I think that's one thing you're going to have to consider. I live on the bottom floor of an apartment building, which is very convenient. So I did, and we purposely chose that. So now I don't have to worry about who's below me. But I still have to be concerned about vibration. So what I've done is I've taken some like puzzle mat, which you can get at your dollar store or you can get at a hardware store, kind of rubbery puzzle mat, and I just put it together and I made a couple of layers of it. So it's about that thick, and that seems to absorb and trap most of that vibration. So there's really not much of an issue. So I encourage you to do that as well. I know that there are lots of videos out there on YouTube about how to build like risers and things, and if that's an issue for you in terms of vibration, you may want to look into that, build your own riser to practice on top of, to put your drum set on top, and that will certainly help with the vibration issue. So I hope that's helpful. I just wanted to share with you my practice setup, and I think it will really help you too. I think it's also not so costly. Probably the most expensive part of everything you're going to do is going to be the cymbals, and they tend to be a little bit pricey, which is kind of interesting because they really are not. I wouldn't say they're like super high quality, so I think they're just trying to milk it. But I think that's probably going to be the most expensive thing you get on the drum set. Certainly these are very cheap, these rubber pads. The Quiet Tone, I'm not even sure if they still sell it, but I think there may be something comparable out there. If not, go ahead and make something. Try to figure out how to do it, DIY. But this really works fantastically well, and I think you'd love to have that. Certainly getting that little spongy ball for your bass drum kick is not going to be an issue too, so I think that's going to be easy. So I hope that helps. In a couple more things I want to share with you. I've got lots of other things that I'm doing now to support your drumming. Really, my whole goal is to inspire and motivate you to be the best drummer you can be. And I've really put together a suite of different things that I think are going to help you do that. I've got a blog that talks about how to connect your drumming to music and to other musicians, how to be healthy, and also some tips on the music business of playing drums. I've got my private lessons. I do all these different camera angles, and hey there, you can get a video of that at the end of it. We do it through Zoom, and it's a really great thing, which my students really enjoy, and I really enjoy teaching as well, so it's a lot of fun. And I've also got lots of drumless tracks at vonbarenstore.com, and you can sign up for drum lessons, by the way, at vonbarenstore.com. So if you need some practice tracks and you really want to prepare for playing real jazz with real people, these are great drumless tracks to do that, because it's all real like 99% of the tracks are real musicians playing and helping you prepare to play with other musicians. And I've got my jazzdrumschool.com, my brushes mastery course, which is all about brushes. It's like the most complete course online about how to play brushes, how to put brushes into everything you want to do with music. So I think you'll really enjoy that and check that out. So thanks very much again for watching. And as I always say, keep on drumming. Take care.
drummingforlife.com